One small brick, one big idea, and a journey that built more than toys. Imagine holding a small, colorful brick in your hand. It clicks neatly into another brick, and suddenly your imagination has a shape, a castle, a spaceship, a city. Today, that little brick is everywhere. But almost a century ago, Lego was not the global icon we know. In fact, it began in a tiny Danish workshop, with no plastic, no bright colors, and no sign that it would one day change how the world plays and learns. Our story begins in 1932 in Billund, Denmark, a small town surrounded by farms. There lived a carpenter named Ole Kirk Christensen. Times were hard. The Great Depression had left many families struggling, and Ole's carpentry business was barely surviving. He built simple things, ladders, stools, ironing boards. But he also had a gift, a love for crafting small wooden toys for his children. One cold winter, Ole faced a tough decision: stop making toys to save money, or focus on them completely and hope they would sell. It was a risky choice, but Ole believed in bringing joy, especially during dark times. He decided to make toys his main business. The toys were simple: wooden ducks, cars, and yo-yos. Each one was handmade, polished, and painted. Ole's motto became, "Only the best is good enough." It wasn't just about profit. It was about pride in craftsmanship, even when resources were scarce. By 1934, Ole named his company Lego, from the Danish words leg godt, meaning play well. He didn't know then that in Latin, Lego also means I put together. The name was a perfect accident. The early years were not easy. A fire destroyed Ole's workshop in 1942, burning everything to the ground. Most people would have quit, but Ole rebuilt, literally starting from scratch. His determination was the first building block of Lego's future success. In the late 1940s, something new arrived in Denmark: plastic molding machines. Most toymakers laughed at the idea of plastic toys. They were considered cheap and fragile. But Ole saw potential. He bought a machine, a huge investment at the time, and began making simple plastic toys alongside his wooden ones. One of those toys was a small, interlocking brick, inspired by a British design called Kittycraft. Lego improved the design, adding tubes inside for better grip. These new bricks clicked together firmly, yet could be taken apart easily, the magic combination that made endless creations possible. Still, in the 1950s, many people didn't understand the idea. Why would parents buy loose bricks instead of a complete toy? Sales were slow. Shops preferred dolls, trains, and board games. But Ole's son, Gottfred, saw a bigger vision: a system of play, where every brick worked with every other brick, across every set. In 1955, Lego launched its system of play, themed sets that children could combine endlessly. A fire station could connect to a house. A farm could connect to a town square. It wasn't just a toy anymore. It was a creative universe. What Ole and Gottfred didn't fully realize yet was that they had created something far more powerful than a set of bricks. They had built a tool for imagination, and soon, the world would notice. The mid-1950s were a turning point for Lego. The system of play idea was bold, but convincing the world was another challenge. Toy sellers didn't see the value of buying a set of small plastic bricks when children could have dolls, model cars, or board games that looked complete. But Gottfred Christensen, Ole's son, believed the real magic was in what the child could create, not what the box showed. Gottfred became the company's driving force after Ole passed away in 1958. That same year, Lego patented its improved brick design, the one with the famous hollow tubes inside. This innovation made Lego bricks strong, stable, and endlessly reusable. Even today, a Lego brick made in 1958 still fits perfectly with a brick made now. This was not just a toy. It was a promise of consistency for generations. The company kept refining its vision. Instead of making random toys, Lego sets became part of a bigger world. Every brick from every set could connect. A fire truck from one set could park in the garage of another set's house. This was new in the toy industry. Before Lego, most toys were standalone objects. Once a child grew bored, the toy was done. But Lego? Lego could transform endlessly. Still, the road ahead was not smooth. In the early 1960s, Lego faced skepticism in international markets. Wooden toys still dominated in many countries. Plastic was seen as cheap and untrustworthy. But Lego's quality set it apart. Each brick went through strict testing. They had to fit perfectly, never lose their grip, and survive years of play. Then, in 1960, disaster struck again. Another fire burned down Lego's woodworking factory. This time, Gottfried made a bold decision. Stop making wooden toys completely and focus 100% on plastic. It was a huge risk. If parents rejected plastic toys, Lego could go bankrupt. But Gottfried saw the future and committed to it. By the mid-1960s, Lego began to expand beyond Denmark. The first Lego sets were exported to Sweden and Germany, then to the UK, France, and beyond. The company introduced new colors, new shapes, and even wheels, which opened the door to building cars, buses, and trains. Children could now create moving, living cities. And it wasn't just children who loved Lego. Parents began to see the value in a toy that encouraged problem-solving, patience, and creativity. Teachers started using Lego in classrooms to help with spatial awareness and teamwork. By 1968, Lego opened its first theme park, Legoland Billund, as a showcase of what was possible. It featured giant castles, villages, and even working boats, all built from millions of Lego bricks. Visitors were amazed, and the park became a symbol of the brand's limitless imagination. Lego was no longer just a toy maker from Denmark. It was becoming a global symbol of creativity. But the true explosion of popularity was still ahead, and it would come from tiny figures with smiling faces. By the late 1970s, Lego was already popular in Europe and was growing in North America. Kids could build houses, cars, towns, and trains. But there was still something missing: the people to live in these Lego worlds. In 1978, Lego introduced something that would completely transform the brand: the Lego minifigure. These small, 4-centimeter-tall figures had bright yellow heads, simple facial expressions, and movable arms and legs. At first, they all had the same friendly smile, no different hairstyles, no angry faces, no sad eyes. Why? Because Lego wanted them to be universal. Any child, anywhere in the world, could imagine that smiling face as a hero, a builder, or an adventurer. The impact was immediate. Suddenly, Lego towns came alive. That fire station now had firefighters. The police station had officers. The houses had families. Stories could be told. Adventures could unfold. Children weren't just building objects anymore. They were creating worlds with characters. Lego sets started to expand with themes. The late 1970s and early 1980s brought castle, space, and town series. Kids could build medieval fortresses with knights and horses, futuristic space bases with astronauts, or busy cities with taxis and post offices. Every set connected with the others, keeping the system of play alive. The minifigure also helped Lego cross into pop culture. In 1979, Lego introduced the first female minifigure, a big step at the time for representation in toys. Soon, the figures had different hats, hairpieces, and accessories, making them even more customizable. Behind the scenes, Lego had strict design rules. Minifigures could not have realistic weapons, scary expressions, or direct associations with violence. The goal was to encourage creative play, not recreate real-world conflict. This Lego philosophy would guide the company for decades, even as the toy industry became more aggressive and competitive. By the mid-1980s, Lego had become a household name in dozens of countries. The company opened new factories, hired more designers, and kept introducing fresh ideas. The arrival of Lego Technic in 1977 had already given older kids a more advanced building system with gears, axles, and motors. Combined with minifigures, Lego now had a toy range that could grow with the child, from simple bricks for toddlers to complex machines for teenagers. Schools and parents increasingly saw Lego as more than just a toy. It was a learning tool. Building with Lego developed fine motor skills, problem-solving abilities, and creativity. And because the pieces never went out of date, a Lego set from 1980 could still connect perfectly with a set from 1990, or even today. But as the 1980s ended, new challenges loomed. Video games were on the rise, kids' attention was shifting to screens, and toy companies everywhere faced a big question: how to stay relevant in a digital world. Lego's answer would lead them into both their most creative experiments and their most dangerous mistakes. The early 1990s brought a new kind of challenge for LEGO. For decades, children had built castles, spaceships, and cities from physical bricks. But now, another form of play was entering homes: video games. Nintendo, Sega, and later PlayStation were captivating children with flashing screens and fast-paced action. Parents started hearing a new phrase from their kids: "Can I play on the console?" And it worried toy companies everywhere. LEGO was not immune. Sales began to slow. Fewer children were spending long hours on the floor building. Many were sitting in front of televisions, controllers in hand. The question was clear: would physical toys survive in a digital age? LEGO decided to fight back in two ways: by doubling down on what made them unique, and by experimenting with technology themselves. First, they expanded their physical sets into new, exciting themes. The 1990s brought legendary series like LEGO Pirates, LEGO Western, and LEGO Aquazone. These sets told complete stories, with ships, forts, and undersea adventures, all powered by imagination, not electricity. At the same time, LEGO began exploring licensed themes, a big shift from their long-standing rule of keeping LEGO worlds fictional and neutral. In 1999, they struck gold with Star Wars. The partnership was risky. Star Wars had battles and blasters, which LEGO usually avoided. But it also had a huge fan base and iconic ships that were perfect for brick building. The first LEGO Star Wars sets were an instant hit. Children could now recreate the Millennium Falcon, X-Wings, and lightsaber duels with their favorite characters in minifigure form. Even better, adults who had grown up with Star Wars became collectors. LEGO had tapped into a new market, not just kids, but nostalgic grown-ups. Meanwhile, LEGO also dipped its toes into the digital world. In 1997, they released their first video game, LEGO Island. It allowed players to explore a 3D LEGO town, solve missions, and interact with characters, all in a playful, non-violent way. More games followed, blending the charm of LEGO with the excitement of interactive storytelling. But despite these wins, danger was ahead. As the 2000s began, LEGO started experimenting wildly, too wildly. They released new product lines that strayed far from the brick, like action figures that didn't connect to regular LEGO sets. They built expensive theme parks in multiple countries before ensuring they were profitable. They launched clothing lines, watches, even home decor. The core brick, the heart of LEGO, was losing focus. Sales dipped sharply in the early 2000s, and for the first time in decades, LEGO faced the possibility of collapse. Something had to change. The company needed to remember why people fell in love with LEGO in the first place, and rebuild its identity before it was too late. By 2003, LEGO, the company that had inspired generations, was in serious trouble. Sales had dropped by nearly 30% in just 2 years. Debt was piling up. The company had expanded into too many areas: video games, clothing, theme parks, even jewelry. But many of these ventures were losing money. The core product, the brick, was no longer the main focus. Some sets had so many new, oddly shaped pieces that they couldn't connect well with older bricks. The magic of compatibility, a promise that every LEGO piece could work with any other, no matter the year, was fading. Loyal fans began to complain. LEGO theme parks, which were supposed to be brand showcases, were costing more to run than they earned. In 2004, LEGO posted its worst financial loss ever, about $300 million. Analysts predicted bankruptcy within a few years. It was a shocking thought. Could the world's most beloved toy brand really disappear? That year, the company's leadership changed. Jørgen Vig Knudstorp, a young executive with a background in strategy, became CEO, the first non-family member to run LEGO. He was direct with employees. "We are on a burning platform." Knudstorp's plan was radical but clear. Return to the brick. Focus on what LEGO did best: high-quality, compatible building sets. Cut the clutter. Cancel unprofitable product lines and sell off the theme parks to reduce debt. Listen to fans. Pay attention to both children and adult builders, understanding what they loved most about LEGO. The shift was immediate. Instead of creating sets filled with unique, one-time use pieces, LEGO returned to versatile parts that encouraged creativity. The design teams were challenged to make exciting builds using mostly standard bricks, just like in LEGO's golden years. LEGO also made a surprising move. it embraced the growing online fan community. Adult fans, known as AFOLs, adult fans of LEGO, were designing incredible creations and sharing them online. Rather than ignore this, LEGO invited them into the process. This led to the creation of LEGO Ideas, a platform where fans could submit designs and vote for their favorites. Winning projects would become official sets, with the designer earning a share of the profits. Meanwhile, partnerships with beloved franchises, especially Star Wars and Harry Potter, were strengthened. These sets brought in both kids and nostalgic adults. LEGO Star Wars, in particular, became a global phenomenon, with collectors willing to pay hundreds for rare ships. By 2006, the company had stopped its financial freefall. By 2008, LEGO was profitable again. The comeback was so strong that people began calling it one of the greatest turnarounds in business history. But the real explosion of popularity was still ahead, and it would come not from a toy shelf, but from the big screen. By the early 2010s, LEGO had regained its footing. Sales were climbing, the brand was respected again, and fan communities were growing. But no one expected that a single movie would take LEGO from successful toy company to global cultural icon almost overnight. In 2014, the LEGO movie hit theaters. At first, even some LEGO executives were nervous. Could a film about plastic bricks really work? The concept sounded risky. But from the first scene, audiences were hooked. The movie was fast, funny, and filled with heart. It wasn't just a 2-hour toy commercial. It was a clever story about creativity, teamwork, and thinking outside the instructions. The main character, Emmett, an ordinary construction worker minifigure, perfectly captured the LEGO spirit. He started with no special powers, just the belief that anyone can build something amazing if they try. The film's mix of humor for adults, adventure for kids, and countless nods to LEGO history made it an instant hit. Critics loved it. Fans adored it. And the now famous theme song, Everything is Awesome, became an anthem not just for kids, but for anyone chasing their dreams. The impact on LEGO was enormous. Sales spiked worldwide. Classic sets featured in the movie, like LEGO City and LEGO Spaceship, sold out. A new wave of children and adults rediscovered LEGO for the first time in years. But the movie's success was about more than just money. It showed that LEGO was more than a toy. It was a storytelling platform. The bricks were characters, the sets were worlds, and every builder was part of that universe. Following the film, LEGO doubled down on connecting with fans through media. More movies followed, including the LEGO Batman movie and the LEGO Ninjago movie. On TV, LEGO Masters competitions inspired builders to push their creativity to new limits. Meanwhile, LEGO kept innovating in physical sets. The LEGO Friends line brought bright colors and detailed scenes aimed at expanding the brand's audience. The LEGO Architecture series let adults recreate landmarks like the Eiffel Tower or the Empire State Building. And LEGO Technic reached new heights with working gearboxes, engines, and even smartphone-controlled vehicles. By blending entertainment, education, and engineering, LEGO proved it could thrive in a world dominated by screens. In fact, it turned screens into allies, using them to inspire more building in the real world. The once struggling company was now the largest toy maker in the world. But the leadership knew that popularity wasn't enough. To truly change the world, LEGO needed to do something bigger, something that would impact not just playrooms, but classrooms and communities across the globe. By the mid-2010s, LEGO had conquered toy shelves, movie screens, and fan events. But the company's leaders knew their mission could be bigger than entertainment. They saw LEGO as more than a brand. They saw it as a tool to shape the next generation of thinkers, problem solvers, and creators. This vision wasn't entirely new. Back in 1986, LEGO had created the LEGO Education Division, but it was small and mostly focused on simple teaching aids. Now, they wanted to expand it worldwide and make it a key part of the company's identity. The timing was perfect. Schools everywhere were searching for better ways to teach STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math in a hands-on way. LEGO bricks, with their endless building possibilities, were the ideal solution. But LEGO wanted to go beyond static models. In 1998, they had already partnered with MIT to launch LEGO Mindstorms, programmable robotics kits that let students build and code their own robots. Over the years, Mindstorms became more powerful, adding sensors, motors, and Bluetooth connectivity. By the 2010s, it was a cornerstone of LEGO's educational mission, used in classrooms from Denmark to Kenya to Japan. This led to the first LEGO League, an international robotics competition for kids and teens. Teams from around the world would design, build, and program LEGO robots to solve themed challenges, from cleaning up imaginary oceans to exploring space missions. The events were buzzing with excitement, not just because of the competition, but because kids were learning teamwork, creativity, and resilience. LEGO also launched LEGO Education Wedo for younger learners, introducing coding concepts through playful builds like dancing animals or spinning Ferris wheels. These kits made programming feel less like work and more like an adventure. But education wasn't just about technology. LEGO understood that creativity was a skill in itself, and one that was often overlooked in traditional schooling. They promoted what they called learning through play, a philosophy rooted in research showing that hands-on, self-directed play builds deeper understanding than passive learning. In 2015, LEGO took their educational mission further by creating the LEGO Foundation, a nonprofit arm dedicated to supporting children's learning worldwide, especially in disadvantaged communities. They funded programs in refugee camps, built play-based curriculums for under-resourced schools, and partnered with organizations like UNICEF to advocate for play as a fundamental right for every child. The results were powerful. In classrooms, shy students found confidence by presenting their LEGO creations. Kids who struggled with math began to understand fractions and geometry through building challenges. Even adults used LEGO Serious Play workshops to solve business problems creatively. For LEGO, this was proof that their impact went far beyond toys. They weren't just making products, they were shaping minds. And as climate change, inequality, and rapid technological shifts challenged the next generation, LEGO knew they had another responsibility: to build a future that was not only imaginative, but sustainable. By the late 2010s, LEGO had conquered toys, media, and education. But now, the company faced a challenge that no brand could ignore: the planet itself. Plastic, the very material that made LEGO bricks durable and beloved for decades, was becoming one of the world's biggest environmental concerns. Headlines about ocean pollution, climate change, and plastic waste made it clear every company had to take responsibility. For LEGO, this was personal. The bricks they made could last for centuries without breaking down. That durability was great for generations of play, but it also meant they could become long-term waste if thrown away. The leadership knew they had to act, and they set a bold goal. By 2030, every LEGO brick would be made from sustainable materials. The challenge was enormous. LEGO bricks have to fit together with near-perfect precision. The margin for error is less than the width of a human hair. They must be strong enough to click firmly, yet easy enough for a child to pull apart. Finding a sustainable material that matched the quality of traditional ABS plastic seemed almost impossible. In 2018, LEGO announced its first breakthrough: plants from plants. They began producing certain LEGO elements, like trees, leaves, and bushes, from a bio-based plastic made from sugarcane. These pieces were identical in look and feel to regular LEGO parts, but came from renewable resources. It was a start, but the main brick, the iconic 2x4, remained a bigger challenge. LEGO invested heavily in research, opening a sustainable materials center and hiring hundreds of scientists and engineers to experiment with new compounds. They tested everything from recycled PET bottles to innovative bioplastics, determined to find a formula that kept the legendary LEGO click. But sustainability wasn't just about materials. LEGO committed to making all its packaging sustainable by 2025, replacing plastic bags inside sets with paper-based alternatives. They also invested in renewable energy. By 2017, LEGO had reached its goal of balancing 100% of its energy use with renewable sources, thanks to wind farms they helped fund. Beyond the factories, LEGO began encouraging children to think about the environment through play. They released sets focused on ocean cleanup, wildlife rescue, and renewable energy. LEGO City kits featured wind turbines and electric cars. The idea was simple: if kids grew up building a sustainable world with LEGO, maybe they'd build one in real life too. Of course, change takes time. Some fans were skeptical about whether sustainable materials could ever match the quality of traditional Lego bricks. But the company stayed transparent, sharing progress updates and admitting challenges. They understood that the journey itself could inspire others, proof that even a giant in the toy industry could adapt for the sake of the planet. By making sustainability part of their mission, Lego wasn't just protecting their future, they were protecting the future of the children who played with their products. But the world was about to test that mission in ways no one could have predicted. A global crisis would shut down schools, close stores, and keep millions of children at home. For Lego, it was time to see if decades of creativity and connection could survive isolation. In early 2020, the world came to a sudden halt. Schools closed, offices emptied, and streets grew quiet. The COVID-19 pandemic didn't just pause daily life, it reshaped it. For millions of children, playtime shifted from playgrounds and classrooms to living rooms and bedrooms. And for Lego, this sudden change brought both challenges and unexpected opportunities. At first, the shock was severe. Lego's retail stores around the world shut their doors. Supply chains were disrupted. Factories in China and Mexico faced temporary closures. For a company that sold a huge portion of its products through physical shops, it was a worrying moment. But something surprising happened. As families found themselves stuck at home, many turned to Lego for comfort, creativity, and a break from screens. Sales in Lego's online store surged. Parents who hadn't touched a brick in years rediscovered the joy of building alongside their kids. Adults stuck in small apartments started buying complex sets, from Star Wars starships to detailed architecture landmarks, as a way to relax and stay sane. Lego also leaned into digital connection. They launched free online building challenges under the campaign #Let'sBuildTogether, inviting fans to share creations from home. Designers streamed live building sessions, teaching tips and answering questions. Families in different countries built the same models over video calls, turning bricks into a bridge across distance. The company even created special Lego education at home resources so teachers and parents could use Lego bricks for remote learning. Lessons covered everything from basic math to storytelling, all built around hands-on play. Meanwhile, Lego kept production running where it was safe, prioritizing sets that were in highest demand. They also donated millions to support children in need, especially those without access to toys or learning materials during lockdown. One of the most remarkable moments came when Lego fans around the world began building thank you messages out of bricks for healthcare workers. Streets in Denmark and beyond saw giant Lego hearts and rainbows in windows, a reminder that play could still bring hope in hard times. By the end of 2020, Lego had not only weathered the crisis, it had grown stronger. Sales rose by over 20%, making it one of the company's best years ever. The lesson was clear: when the world stops, creativity doesn't have to. But as the world reopened, Lego faced a new question. How could they take this renewed energy and turn it into lasting innovation? The answer would take them into new technologies, new partnerships, and entirely new ways to play. As the world slowly reopened after the pandemic, Lego had a choice: return to business as usual or push into bold new territory. The lockdown years had shown that digital connections could inspire millions of builders. Now, Lego wanted to combine that digital energy with the physical magic of the brick. This vision had been brewing for years. Even before COVID-19, Lego had experimented with blending physical sets and digital experiences. There was Lego Hidden Side, a spooky-themed series where kids could build sets and then use an augmented reality (AR) app to reveal hidden ghosts and solve mysteries. There was Lego Super Mario, launched in 2020, where a brick-built Mario figure with digital eyes and a speaker could interact with the course you built, collecting coins and reacting to obstacles. Now, Lego was ready to go further. They announced partnerships with tech giants to explore the metaverse, an online, interactive world where players could create, share, and explore together. The most ambitious was a joint project with Epic Games, the makers of Fortnite. The goal: build a safe, creative digital space for kids and families to play, design, and collaborate, all while keeping Lego's values of safety and imagination. But Lego's digital ambitions weren't about replacing the brick. In every project, The company insisted the physical build remained at the center. Digital tools were there to expand the story, not replace it. You could build a spaceship in real life, then fly it in a digital game. You could solve a puzzle in AR, then physically change your model to unlock new missions. This hybrid approach wasn't just for kids. Adults were also finding new joy in LEGO through digital spaces. Online building communities used 3D design software like LEGO Digital Designer and STUD.io to plan creations before ordering physical pieces. Social media platforms buzzed with time-lapse videos of complex builds, bringing a new audience into the hobby. Still, LEGO knew that with every step into technology came responsibility. They doubled down on child safety, working with experts to ensure online play spaces had strict privacy controls and zero tolerance for harmful content. The company's reputation depended on it. Trust was as valuable as the brick itself. The digital shift also sparked new forms of collaboration. Fans could co-build massive models virtually, then see them constructed at LEGO conventions. Architects and engineers used digital LEGO tools to prototype real-world designs. Even NASA partnered with LEGO to create educational kits about space exploration, blending virtual lessons with physical builds. By merging the physical and the digital, LEGO was proving it could adapt to changing play habits without losing its identity. But their biggest upcoming challenge wasn't about technology at all. It was about staying true to the brand's spirit in a world where every company fought for attention. And LEGO's next move would prove they weren't just keeping up, they were leading the way. LEGO had always been a company driven by creativity, but by the 2010s, they realized some of the best ideas weren't coming from their designers in Billund. They were coming from bedrooms, basements, and small home workshops all over the world. Adult fans, known as AFOLs, adult fans of LEGO, were designing jaw-dropping models and sharing them online. Instead of just admiring these creations from afar, LEGO decided to bring fans directly into the creative process. The result was LEGO Ideas, a platform where anyone could submit their own set design. If a design gained 10,000 public votes, LEGO's team would review it, and if approved, it would become an official LEGO product, sold worldwide with the creator's name on the box. The designer even received a percentage of the profits. This wasn't just a marketing move. It was a revolution in how a toy company engaged its audience. Suddenly, fans weren't just customers, they were collaborators. The LEGO Ideas program quickly became a treasure chest of unique sets. Fan-created designs included a detailed NASA Apollo Saturn V rocket, a replica of the Friends TV show set, a functioning typewriter, and even a tiny Winnie the Pooh's 100-acre wood. These sets proved that LEGO could go beyond its traditional themes, exploring nostalgia, pop culture, and real-world history while still staying true to its brick-based DNA. What made LEGO Ideas even more powerful was its global reach. A fan in Japan could design a cherry blossom tree. A builder in Brazil could create a vibrant street market. A team in Canada could design a medieval blacksmith shop. All of them had the same chance to bring their idea to life, and all of them contributed to making LEGO a truly worldwide community project. LEGO didn't stop there. They began inviting top fan designers to collaborate on special exhibitions, events, and even master builder roles. Some AFOLs who started as hobbyists ended up working for LEGO full-time. Fan involvement also shaped how LEGO approached niche themes. For example, trains, space exploration, and historical buildings weren't always mass-market sellers, but LEGO Ideas proved there was passionate demand for them. This allowed LEGO to produce sets that might have been too risky without community proof. The result? A brand that didn't just listen to its customers, it co-created with them. LEGO had turned the world into one giant design studio, with millions of people sharing ideas, voting, and building together. By letting fans help guide the future, LEGO kept its products fresh and deeply connected to the people who love them most. But even with all this creativity and collaboration, one question still remained. Could LEGO truly claim to have changed the world? The answer would come in the final chapters of its story, through its impact on culture, education, sustainability, and the way we think about play itself. By now, LEGO wasn't just something you found in a toy aisle. It was part of everyday life, woven into movies, museums, classrooms, art galleries, and even political conversations. The humble brick had grown into a cultural icon. You could see it in film and TV. The Lego Movie wasn't just a hit. It became a pop culture reference point. TV shows made jokes about stepping on Lego bricks. Late-night hosts built with Lego on their desks. Even serious documentaries explored the engineering and artistry of massive fan-made Lego creations. You could see it in art. Artists like Nathan Sawaya created touring exhibitions of life-size sculptures made entirely from Lego bricks, human figures, animals, even replicas of famous paintings. These shows drew huge crowds, proving Lego wasn't just a child's medium. It was a legitimate form of creative expression. You could see it in science and engineering. Researchers used Lego robots for experiments. Prosthetic limbs were decorated with Lego studs so children could customize them. In 2018, engineers at Cambridge University used Lego bricks to test the limits of plastic strength, discovering that a single brick could bear the weight of over 400 kilograms. You could even see Lego in activism and social movements. Builders used bricks to create awareness campaigns about climate change, ocean pollution, and endangered animals. Charity groups built Lego hospitals and schools to inspire donations. In refugee camps, Lego kits were used as tools to help children process trauma through play. And of course, Lego had become a language of nostalgia. Adults who grew up with it now introduced it to their kids. People who had never met could bond instantly over a shared memory of building their first tower or their favorite set. In an age where entertainment often divided generations, Lego united them. Part of Lego's cultural power came from its universality. No words were printed on the bricks. No instructions were required to start building. Whether you lived in Denmark or Kenya, Japan or Brazil, the experience was the same. You clicked two pieces together, and the possibilities multiplied. It also came from Lego's timelessness. A brick from 1958 still fit perfectly with a brick from today. That consistency built trust. People knew their childhood sets would work with their children's sets decades later. By transcending its role as a toy, Lego had touched art, education, engineering, and human connection. But Lego's story wasn't over. The company had one more challenge: to prove that it could keep inspiring the world for the next 100 years without losing the magic that made it special. As Lego moved into the 2020s, its leadership faced a unique challenge: how to protect the magic of the brick while adapting to a world that changes faster than ever. Technology, climate concerns, shifting play habits, all could shape the next century of Lego. The company's long-term vision rested on three pillars: creativity, sustainability, and accessibility. First, creativity. Lego pledged to keep its core open-ended play at the heart of every product. While licensed themes like Star Wars and Harry Potter were wildly popular, Lego knew it couldn't rely on them alone. The company continued investing in original themes like Lego Ninjago, Lego Friends, and Lego City, giving kids worlds they could shape in their own way. Second, sustainability. The 2030 goal of making all bricks from renewable or recycled materials was still in motion. Progress updates showed breakthroughs with recycled PET plastic, bio-based elements, and sustainable packaging. Lego aimed to become not only carbon neutral, but a leader in green manufacturing, setting an example for the entire toy industry. Third, accessibility. Lego believed every child should have the chance to play, no matter their background. Through the Lego Foundation, the company expanded projects in refugee camps, partnered with schools in low-income areas, and supported inclusive design for children with disabilities. Braille bricks, for example, used studs to represent letters so visually impaired children could learn to read while building. Lego was also looking at the future of digital play. Collaborations with Epic Games and other tech innovators aimed to create safe, creative online spaces where kids could build together virtually. Importantly, these spaces were designed with strict safety and privacy measures, a response to growing concerns about children's exposure to online risks. But beyond business strategies, Lego's greatest advantage might be its emotional connection with generations of fans. Adults who once built castles on their bedroom floor were now architects, engineers, artists, and parents passing the same bricks to their children. In boardrooms and classrooms, Lego sets were still being used to brainstorm ideas and explain concepts. The company understood something timeless. Trends will change, technologies will evolve, but the human need to create, to take something apart and rebuild it in a new way, will never go away. As LEGO prepared for its 100th anniversary in 2032, it was more than a celebration of the past. It was a promise for the future, that a simple brick in the hands of a curious mind could still change the world. For all of LEGO's global impact, its truest legacy is found in individual stories, moments where a pile of bricks changed someone's life forever. Take David Aguilar, a young man from Andorra born without a right forearm. As a teenager, he built himself a functioning prosthetic arm out of LEGO Technic pieces. It wasn't just a personal project, it became a symbol of possibility. David went on to study bioengineering, inspiring others with his message that limitations are just starting points. Or Alice Finch, a LEGO builder from the United States who constructed a massive, highly detailed model of Hogwarts Castle from Harry Potter. It took her over 400,000 bricks and became a global sensation. But for Alice, it wasn't just about building. It was about showing her children, and especially her son with special needs, that passion and patience can turn dreams into reality. In classrooms from Nairobi to New York, LEGO has given children a voice. In one Kenyan school, a teacher used LEGO to help shy students practice storytelling. By building their own characters and settings, they felt safe to speak in front of the class for the first time. In another case, a refugee camp in Jordan introduced LEGO play sessions for children who had experienced trauma, helping them express emotions they couldn't yet put into words. Even in the corporate world, LEGO has transformed the way teams work. LEGO Serious Play, a method developed in the late 1990s, uses bricks to help employees brainstorm and solve problems creatively. Participants build models to represent ideas, which often leads to insights they wouldn't have reached through traditional discussion. Major companies, universities, and even governments have used it to spark innovation. For many adults, LEGO is more than nostalgia, it's therapy. The act of sorting, clicking, and building can be calming, offering focus in a noisy world. Some psychologists recommend LEGO building as a mindfulness exercise, similar to meditation. In hospitals, LEGO therapy sessions help children develop social skills, teamwork, and patience while they play. These stories share a common thread. LEGO's power lies not in the bricks themselves, but in what people do with them. It's the creativity unlocked, the confidence built, the joy shared. And now, as LEGO looks ahead to its future, it's clear that the company's mission isn't just to sell sets. It's to create moments like these, millions of them, in every corner of the world. From a small workshop in Billund to living rooms, classrooms, and community centers in every corner of the globe, LEGO has proven one simple truth: play can change the world. A carpenter's wooden duck became a universal language of creativity. A smiling minifigure became a citizen of every culture. A humble brick became a bridge between generations, between strangers, and between dreams and reality. LEGO has inspired scientists to invent, artists to create, and children to see themselves as builders of their own futures. It has turned quiet afternoons into adventures, failures into new attempts, and imagination into something you can hold in your hands. And it has done all of this without losing its most important quality: the belief that anyone, anywhere, can build something amazing, one piece at a time. The truth is, the world doesn't just happen to us. We shape it. With every choice, every action, every idea, we are adding bricks to the structure of our future. Some are small, some are grand, but all of them matter. So the question is, what will you build? A story no one has told before? A bridge between people? A future worth passing on? The bricks are here. The possibilities are endless. And the next creation that changes the world might just be yours. If you've been inspired by this story, let's keep building together. Subscribe for more journeys, like this video, and share in the comments what you would create if you had all the bricks in the world. Because, in the end, everything is awesome when we build it together.